In the late 1800s, the world was moving into its industrial age. A gentleman known as Baba Nyonya was responsible for planting the first rubber seedling in Melaka. This proved to be extremely profitable for many early Chinese, including my great-grandfather Cheng, who made a sizable fortune growing and exporting rubber to England. He was also involved in several clan associations and served as a justice of peace for his community. In this grand reception hall, Cheng would have entertained guests, signed business deals, and perhaps even initiated the matchmaking of his son. Take a look at the large silk embroidery panels on either side of this room. These silk embroidery were brought from China to Melaka and represents the heart of the early Chinese in the Straits settlement. Even though this community spoke a form of the Malay dialect and assimilated other local cultural influences into their identity, they still saw themselves as Chinese at heart. The silk embroidery panels represent images of Chinese folk tales, the three abundances of life, Hock Lok Siu, and also pays homage to the Emperor of China.
I remember my sisters were given permission to go to school. A driver would take them to the Holy Infant Jesus School at Bandar Hilay. The two older boys were sent to Pefong Chinese School and the two younger boys to an English government school.
Please do follow us to the next hall, the Tia Gelap or Dark Hall. In the 19th century, young Nonyas would not be allowed further than this hall, and if they wanted to look into the next room to see who that dashing young man might be, they would need to peer through the screen slits to take a peek through. In the 20th century, however, things were different and education played a role in the changing lifestyle of the community. You may have already noticed that this house, like all the houses on the street, is narrow in width and long in depth. This is because, during the Dutch occupation of Melaka, land was taxed by its width. The spaciousness of the house was a perfect place for a large family of 8 children.
The only time we were allowed to cycle around the house with our little bicycle was when my father was out of the house.
The houses also had no windows on either side. They were designed with courtyard airwells to allow light and ventilation and rainwater through. The airwell was a place of life.
I remember when my elder sister got married, my mother commissioned a goldsmith to come to the house to make jewelry for herself and my sisters. He would come every day until he finished the pieces. The basic form of the croissant was made in the goldsmith's premise, and only the insertion of the diamond or bullion was carried out in the house because mother was afraid that the goldsmith would change and provide an inferior diamond.
Another highlight of this house is the staircase. You'll notice its gold-gilded carvings on the underside of the staircase, featuring the 8 Taoist immortals. This gold-gilded undercarving is reputed to be one of the only few in the region and was handcrafted by workmen from China. As with many homes on this street, this museum is also an ancestral house for the Chan family. The concept of an ancestral house allows family members to remember forefathers and it is a practice shared amongst many communities in Southeast Asia. The earliest known ancestor of the Chan family is Chan Hut Lim, who was also given the title of Kapitan in the 1800s. His grave lies in a private burial site in Bukit Peringit, together with his son Tiang Lok and grandson Cheng Siu. Unfortunately, we do not have any pictures featured here of Chan Hut Lim. Today, some of the family members still pay their respects at this altar 7 times a year, during death anniversaries, Chinese New Year, All Souls Day, and the Hungry Ghost Festival. Food is laid out on this altar as an offering to ancestors. While some of our family today are Christians, and we do not take part in these rituals, we do believe in honoring our family in other ways. One of the most important ceremonies before a wedding is the Chiu Tao ritual. Here, this display shows the 3-tier altar that would be set up in front of the house. It is a coming-of-age ceremony where the bride or bridegroom would sit on a rice measuring tool known as gantang in a bamboo tray that signifies the world. My father remembers the role he played during this ceremony as a young page boy. Today, the Chan family celebrates 7 generations living throughout the world. My grandmother Ju Suan and grandfather Seng Ki had 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. If you look closely at the black and white family portrait on the wall, you'll notice only 7 children in the picture. It was common for large families to pass the caretaking of young children on to close family relatives.
I remember for the first 5 or 6 years of my life, I was brought up by my auntie, my mother's sisters-in-law. When this picture was taken, I was crying because I wanted her to be with me in the picture, and my father did not entertain me.
Mealtime was an important time, and at 7 p.m. sharp, the gong would sound. The children would come rushing down from the back staircase for dinner.
As we all know, Baba loved chili or sambal belacan. But one thing I remember is that my father didn't take chili. So mother had to prepare 2 types of dishes, one with chili and one without chili. All the children had to be at the table before the meal starts. We were expected to address our parents before we start eating. Ba and Nya makan. After dinner, we had to line up for our multivitamins which mother gave to us.
Si Lu, mak gua dapat Pak Lu sama kahwin dengan siapa Lu? How are you? Lu siapa?
I'm fine, thank you. Quick,
Pak Lu, Lu tak usah terperanjat.
Third house was the servants' quarters, where each child was also assigned one maid. There were also 2 Hainanese cooks for this household. Cooking was done on the wood fire stove, and you will notice in this kitchen an array of hand blenders, pounders, and grinders, and also you may want to look out for a putu maya maker.
My fondest memory of my mother was of her making cakes and preparing afternoon tea around 4 o'clock for the whole family. Father would come out from his office in the front of the house to join us.
One of the privileges of living in a port city like Melaka was that the best from around the world was shipped through this port. It would have been a privilege for an Asian household to own European kitchenware, such as an ice cream maker.
We were very lucky. Once a month we were given the opportunity to enjoy an ice cream. But we had to make it ourselves. I remember buying ice blocks from the ice maker and break the blocks into smaller pieces to fill the pail. Then we would add some salt to reduce the temperature of the ice. All the boys had to take turn to turn the wheel until the liquid in the container solidified and formed ice cream.
This was once the master bedroom of the house. Today, the room showcases a simple wedding display. My grandfather Chan Seng Ki and grandmother Ho Ju Swan were married in December 1917. She was 16 years old and he was 22. Before World War II, for those who could afford it, a Straits Chinese wedding was a grand 12-day affair with several costume changes, dinner parties, and rituals. One such ritual includes the wedding bed. The elder ladies of the household would cleanse the room with an incense known as stangi and prepare the bed with decorations symbolizing fertility for the betrothed couple. On the wedding day, a young page boy whose astrological sign matched the couple would have a special task.
Well, looking at this bed, I just remember the role I had to play as a page boy. It was my auntie's daughter's wedding that I had to roll on the bed several times, and the older woman instructed me to do so.
The ritual signifies a blessing for the couple that they would have a son, as Chinese believe that sons carry the family name, while daughters will have to leave the family eventually. Do you notice a wooden piece in the floor near the chuntok table that can be removed? Open it and you can look out onto the street below. This room showcases the birthday and funeral artifacts of the family. Please take a look to the right of the room. The Peranakan Chinese celebrated two important birth dates, the first month of life and when one reached a milestone birthday, a grand party was organized. Birthday celebrations were normally celebrated over a feast known as a tok panjang. The most important dessert to have on that day was mi sua in rock sugar syrup to signify the blessings of a long life for the entire family. The Peranakan Chinese were well known for their love of music, adopting the Portuguese and Malay culture and writing love song ballads in their own Baba Patoy. The music that you are listening to is a form of Dondang Sayang, a love ballad. Some renowned performers within the community were Yeo Kim Swee, the famous saroni player, Chai Kim Tek for his pantuns, and Melaka's prima donna, Nelly To. When the family lived here, this room was the bedroom of Cheng Siu's oldest concubine, whom the family called Nenek Cho or second grandma. Please do walk towards the back of the house to learn about how the ladies passed time. This room was once lived in by the boys of the Chan family. The mahjong table that you see here today would have been placed in the ancestral hall downstairs, and family members would have enjoyed hours of mahjong or churki over some tea and gossip. The dressing of a Nyonya showcases the cultural diversity that is the Peranakan culture. From the baju kebaya and baju panjang, which have its roots from Portuguese and Indo-Malay influence, to the Indian-styled anklets worn, and the fine filigree of diamonds influenced by 20th century European fashion, set in a brooch known as korosang, a term originating from the Portuguese Cristang language. Indeed, a Nyonya of her day was a walking mix of cultural influences.